The Syrian Arab army continues to pursue terrorists in several governorates and destroys their gatherings and criminal tools. Egypt and Iraq affirm support for a political solution to the crisis in Syria and the convention of a Geneva II conference without any preconditions. Iran expects to settle its nuclear file in 1 year if the West's intentions prove to be well, as Moscow holds Washington and its allies responsible for the failure of the recent negotiations in Geneva. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Yarado Krikorian with the news in English. The funeral of the students who were killed yesterday as a result of the terrorist attack that targeted a school bus in Bab Sharqi neighborhood took place today in Damascus from Damascus Hospital. The children were Vanisia Micho, Majd Shhade, Hovannes Atokanian, and Munir Sahhoum, in addition to the young driver, Rafid Khouri. The relatives of the victims affirmed the determination to continue encouraging their children to follow up their education despite the terrorist acts. They also stressed that they would not be intimidated by terrorism. They expressed their confidence in the Syrian people's ability to overcome the crisis in the country through adherence to national unity. Sam Beiruti, the uncle of martyred Majd Shhade, called on the Syrians who have been deceived by al-Assad to know that the latter are only executing Zionist schemes through their support for the armed terrorist groups. He affirmed that the Syrian people will remain united against such schemes. Antoine, the uncle of martyr Vanisia Micho, said, "The Syrian people will remain steadfast against the American and Zionist conspiracies that are being implemented by reactionary Arab tools and will come out of the crisis with further strength and determination to defend the homeland." The mother of Rafid Khouri said, "Targeting children by the Takfiri terrorist groups has nothing to do with any heavenly religion. They aim by such crimes," she added, "to undermine Syria's civilization that is thousands of years old and to keep the Syrian people weak, uneducated and deeply immersed in ignorance." She called on international and humanitarian organizations to shoulder their responsibilities and put an end to the criminal acts perpetrated by such groups. The administrative director of Damascus Hospital, Mr. Mohammed Al-Hamwi, denounced this ugly crime, noting that such crimes would not cause the Syrian people to go back on their principles or to abandon their cohesion with their army and leadership. The Syrian Arab army continues to clear of terrorist Barzeh neighborhood in Damascus suburbs. A number of tunnels were found, each ranging between 70 and 300 meters in length and 10 meters deep. The tunnels connect Barzeh with Al-Qaboon neighborhood and Harasta city under Damascus-Homs highway. They were used by terrorists to transport weapons, ammunition and supplies. On the other hand, fierce clashes erupted in Al-Haswa street north of the Syrian education channel. It has been found that the terrorists had turned houses into fortified warehouses using hundreds of sandbags. A large part of Barzeh neighborhood is now under the control of the Syrian Arab army despite all the terrorist fortifications. Sixteen citizens were injured with mortar shells fired by terrorists in Al-Mazra'a and Al-Zablatani neighborhoods and Baghdad Street in Damascus. 10 citizens were wounded in Al-Mazra'a and material damage was inflicted on a number of cars. 6 citizens were injured near the Red Crescent Hospital in Baghdad Street and Al-Hal Market in Al-Zablatani neighborhood. In Daraa countryside, Syrian Arab army units repelled an attack by a terrorist group north of Al-Naima village, killing many terrorists and destroying a mortar gun as well as a vehicle equipped with a machine gun. In the eastern countryside of Hamas, Syrian Arab Army special units pursued terrorists, killing many of them, including Abdul Karim Haj, nicknamed Kermo, and seizing their weapons and ammunition, including communication and explosive devices. After maintaining control over the town of Tal Arin in the southeastern countryside of Aleppo, the Syrian Arab Army eliminated terrorists in the town, most of them non-Syrians, affiliated to the so-called battalions of Al-Tawheed, Al-Shuhada, Al-Ar'ur grandsons and Indonesia immigrants, as well as the brigades of Shuhada Gaza, Fursan al-Shamal and Tal Arin. In Homs, the Syrian Arab Army inflicted heavy losses upon the armed terrorist groups near Al-Walid complex in Jurat al-Shayyah and Bab Houd neighborhoods. Another army unit killed a number of terrorists and destroyed a car equipped with machine gun in Mazyan al-Baqar village in Jub al-Jarrah area and destroyed their hideouts and gatherings in Al-Ghanto, Aqrab, Talbise and Al-Khaniq area in Al-Rastan and Khnefes village in Palmyra. The terrorists Diya Abeid and Khalid Turkmani were identified. Meanwhile, in Abu Rabah area, Syrian Arab Army units confiscated 2 pickup cars equipped with heavy machine guns. Welcome back. Egyptian Foreign Minister Nabil Fahmy has reiterated his country's stand that the crisis in Syria has no military solution and a political solution must be reached to end it. In an interview with Russia Today satellite channel, Fahmy said the meeting of the foreign and defense ministers of Egypt and Russia, scheduled in Cairo tomorrow, will discuss the economic, political, security and military relations between the two countries, as well as a number of regional files, including the peace process, the crisis in Syria, and an end to the spread of weapons of mass destruction in the Middle East. Fahmy said the Egyptian ambassador to Turkey is not expected to be back there soon. Iraqi Foreign Minister Hoshyar Zebari has reiterated his country's support for the Geneva II International Conference on Syria. In a statement, the Iraqi Foreign Ministry said Zebari had stressed during his meeting with European officials in Baghdad that the Geneva II Conference offered an important opportunity for reaching an accord. He added that all parties, particularly the Syrian opposition, should constructively take part in this conference without preconditions to talk about the future of the country. 2 gunmen assassinated the member of the Islamic Action Front in Lebanon, Sheikh Saadeddine Ghiyyeh, in the city of Tripoli. The Lebanese National News Agency said the gunmen, who were on a motorbike, opened fire from a war pistol on Ghiyyeh head in front of his house near Al-Basha in Tripoli, which led to serious injuries inflicted on him. Ghiyyeh was carried to the hospital in Zgharta for treatment, but he died of his wounds. The assassination of Ghiyyeh came at a time when the city of Tripoli was in a state of agitation and provocative speeches, while shooting continued and gunmen kept speeding in the streets as many Lebanese political parties referred to a Saudi role in igniting strife in the city. Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif expected a settlement of his country's nuclear issue in a period of time that doesn't exceed a year if the West has not created excuses and acted with good intentions. Zarif said the region and the world are facing serious problems and that the world needs Iran's influential and positive role, adding that if serious effort is exerted, then the stage of putting final touches on the plan will be reached in a shorter period of time. A new round of negotiations is set to be held between Iran and the Group of 5+1 on the 20th of this month. Finally, referring to the statements of the American side about the negotiations between the 5+1 countries and Iran regarding Tehran's nuclear file, Russia said such statements distorted reality because Iran was not responsible for the failure of reaching an agreement during such negotiations. A Russian foreign ministry source said that Iran had agreed on the draft agreement, but the parties participating in the negotiations were not able to reach a final approval of it because it required a unanimous decision. The ministry affirmed that the Iranians were not responsible for such failure. Back to our local news, a new batch of students have graduated from the Higher Institute for Drama. A play was performed on the stage of the institute on this occasion.
On the stage of the Higher Institute of Dramatic Arts, a play was performed by the fourth-year students. The name of the play, Violet Ashes. It's a dream or a nightmare, and the planet of Violet only exists in the actor's head. And by time he convinced the others that this planet does exist. All of a sudden, one of my friends, she's an artist, told me that Violet turns into gray in a period of time. The performance took two acting levels. The first one, the students studied the character, which has schizophrenic personality. And the other form is a technical form. I chose it for the act. My role has level 3 schizophrenia, obsessed with math, and when he was young, he was brilliant at math. He could solve math problems mentally. It's the second time I watched the play, and every personality in it got a different personality from the other. This is the amount of creativity that we are used to see in our generation to make the Syrian culture more vivid and colorful. Dan Al-Imam for the Syrian TV News in English.
With this, we end our news for today. Thank you for watching. For more details about Syria and the region and to view this bulletin again, you can always visit our website in English, syriaonline.sy. Now to latest business and market news with Nariman Qassam after a short break.